Remembrance Day of Govinda Ghosh.
You'll speak the whole time?
Whole time. I found enough. Yeah. Glad you could make it. Oh, how sweet. So I'm struggling with a hoarse throat and a... Huh? I have some ginger tea here. But so I hope I can sing. I'm going to try, but if I can't sing, I'm going to ask somebody else to sing. The very last page, 78. I have a song by Govinda Ghosh, but I have no idea how to sing it. Ye anilo premadana Karuna prachur Hey no Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Kaha Mora Swarupa Kaha Sanatan Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kaha Mora Bhata Yuga Kaha Kaviras Eka Kale Kota Gela Goranataras Pasane Kutibamata Anale Pasibo Koranga Gunera Nidhi Kota Gele Pabo Se Saba Sangira Sange Ye Koi Lo Milas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narottamo Das. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivasacharya gone? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Asatara Satashri Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dhama Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai. Gangamai Jamuna Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvasesa Sunyavadi Paskachade Satarane Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvoitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Panchakalpatubhyascha Kripasindhavyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So it's March 15, 2026 in Hillsborough, North Carolina. And today is the disappearance day of Govinda Ghosh. So, in this world, we know about famous people, right? Isn't it? Right? I'm sure if we ask most devotees, tell me something about Govinda Ghosh, they'd go, what? Huh? Who? Silky smooth voice. There we go. We know he's a singer. Unfortunately, we could probably say a lot more about famous materialistic people, right? I'm sure we have a whole list of politicians and movie stars and etc. that we could say a lot more about. But it behooves us to study something about the lives of these great devotees. And Krishnadas Kaviraj specifically lists and numbers about 90 branches of Lord Chaitanya's main trunk and dozens more from Advaitacharya and from Gadadhar Pandit. And he emphasizes that this is just a fractional representation of the millions of branches and twigs that make up the tree of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada emphasizes in that part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that ISKCON is a branch of the Chaitanya tree. When he wrote that, of course, there was pushback from other parts of the Gaudiya Sampradaya that we weren't a real branch because we were going outside of India. But there are many, many other branches. I mean, Sometimes in ISKCON, we think that ISKCON is the only part of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, or we think it's just ISKCON and the Gaudiya Math, which always amuses me, because after the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, there was no the Gaudiya Math anymore. It broke up into many, many maths. There's like a Madhava Gaudiya Math, the Chaitanya Gaudiya Math, so many Gaudiya Maths. And those broke up into so many branches as well. So we found like a number of the God brothers of Srila Prabhupada, after they left this world, then their branch broke up into other branches. And then there's many branches of the Gaudiya Sampradaya that are not coming through Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati at all. And just like Narottama Das Thakur's disciples went to Manipur, and the devotees in Manipur are followers of Narottama Das Thakur. There's a whole group in Vrindavan that are followers of, they come from the line of Shamananda Pandit, and so forth. So it's nice to know, generally in a family, when we talk about getting together with our family, we usually mean just like our immediate family, right? Our parents, maybe our children, our grandchildren, our uncles and aunts and cousins, and we don't usually go further. So a few years ago, there was one lady who contacted me and said that she was doing a whole genealogy of my family tree. And she was really distant. Like my grandfather's first wife passed away maybe 2 years into their marriage. And then he remarried the mother of my mother. So he had a son by his first wife, who was my mother's half-brother. But I didn't know anything about, first of all, my grandfather died before I was born. And I didn't know anything about his first wife, who had died before my mother was even conceived. So this was a relative on that side, you follow? This was a relative of my grandfather's first wife, who was only related to me through my mother's half-brother, my uncle. And she had compiled a whole, the file, like when you open it up, it goes, it's one of these files, it goes all over the place. But it might be interesting to have, a family reunion of all over the place. So our Gaudiya Sampradaya is like that. It's a huge tree with millions of branches. So what is the benefit of studying about some of these members of our Gaudiya family? Well, first of all, we can be inspired. So I think we're going to find quite a number of things to be inspired about. Excuse my voice, I have a hoarse throat, and I hope it doesn't sound awful. In the story of Govinda Ghosh, and also many times to gain in our faith, in our inspiration and our faith in Krishna consciousness, and then to have examples. Prabhupada would say example is better than precept. If you just have the philosophy, this is the way you should be, this is how you should act, and you don't see any examples of people doing it, then it's very hard to know how to apply it. And we're going to find some very specific things in the life of Govinda Ghosh that are applicable to us. And then to get their mercy. To get their mercy. Just like we like it when people talk favorably about us, right? Everybody likes that? Of course. So the great devotees are also pleased by that. And Krishna's pleased by that. Lord Chaitanya is pleased by that. Even more so. Like more than people speaking nice things about me, I'm more pleased if people speak nice things about my children or grandchildren or great-grandchildren. You understand? Or probably would say, love me, love my dog. Of course, I don't have a dog. I don't want to have a dog. But you see that, right? You go to someone and you say, oh, what a nice-looking dog. And they're just... so Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are very pleased when we glorify not just them, but also their devotees. So we're going to read a number of verses and purports, and then we're going to look at what we can learn from this. So in CC Adi 10:115, this is the section where Krishnadas Kaviraj is listing the branches and sub-branches. He says, Govinda Madhava Vasudeva Tinabai. Everybody understands what that means, right? Tinabai, the three brothers. Yan Sabara Kirtane Nache Chaitanya Nitai. Prabhupada's translation, the three brothers, Govinda, Madhava, and Vasudeva, were the 82nd, 83rd, and 84th branches of the tree. Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda used to dance in their kirtan performances. By the way, I haven't seen anything that indicates why exactly Krishnadas Kaviraj gives these specific numbers. Like, why is he numbering the brothers with these specific numbers, or why is he numbering certain people with specific numbers? There's not really some indication. Srila Prabhupada's purport on this verse: the three brothers, Govinda, Madhava, and Vasudev Ghosh, all belong to a Kayasta family. Now, the Kayastas in Bengal often either worked in government or as assistants in government. So by birth caste, they were thought of like Shudras, but they actually often did the work of Kshatriyas. So you have this, like Ramananda Roy, who's a Kayasta, and he's talked about as if he's a Shudra by birth, but actually he's doing the work of a Kshatriya. He's a governor. Going on with the purport, Govinda established the Gopinath temple in Agra Dvipa, where he resided. Madhava Ghosh was expert in performing kirtan. No one within this world could compete with him. He was known as the singer of Vrindavan and was very dear to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. It is said that when the three brothers performed Sankirtan, immediately Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda would dance in ecstasy. Imagine that. As soon as someone starts singing, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda just start dancing. What kind of singers must they have been? According to the Gauragana Dipika 188, the three brothers were formerly Kalavati, so that would be Govinda Ghosh is Kalavati, Rasaulasa, and Gunatunga, who recited the songs composed by Shri Vishaka Gopi. So Vishaka writes the songs, and then these three gopis sing what Vishaka wrote, and these three gopis who are singers of Vishaka's songs appear in Chaitanya Leela as the Ghosh brothers. Going on with the purport, the three brothers were among one of the 7 parties that performed kirtan when Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attended the Rath Yatra festival at Jagannath Puri. Vikeshwar Pandit was the chief dancer in their party. This is vividly described in the Madhya Leela, chapter 13, verses 42 and 43. So we're going to go. Anyone know how long Vikeshwar Pandit could dance for? 72 hours. I wonder if they had to sing for 72 hours. Or maybe if they the three brothers must have taken turns, right? Okay, so going there to Madhya 13:42, that translation is, the Lord formed another group, appointing Govinda Ghosh as the leader. In this group, the younger Haridas, Vishnudas, and Raghava were the responding singers. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, it says, when Govinda Ghosh and his brothers sang, Lord Nityananda would dance to their melodies. During the inauguration of the Sankirtan movement in the courtyard of Srivas Pandit, by the way, I'm going to quiz you on this when I'm done, so don't fall asleep. Govinda Ghosh led one of the chanting groups while Lord Gaurachandra danced in ecstasy. Okay, then we go to CC Adi 10:118. Here it says, when Lord Chaitanya ordered Lord Nityananda and several other devotees, including Govinda's brothers, Madhava and Vasudev, to return to Bengal to preach, Govinda Ghosh remained with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri, feeling great satisfaction in the Lord's company. So you following so far? So he was a singer at Srivas Thakur's house, right? Maharaj talked about Srivas Thakur this past week. So he was one of the singers in that kirtan, the closed kirtan, and he was also then went to Jagannath Puri with his brothers and Lord Nityananda, and they went back to Bengal, and he stayed. So he was there also leading one of the kirtan parties at the Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri. And who was the dancer? Vikeshwar Pandit. Okay, so did he just stay at Jagannath Puri? Well, we know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Jagannath Puri 3 times. When were the 3 times that he left? Went to South India and Vrindavan. How many times did he go to Vrindavan? Attempted twice. So he had an attempt and then a completed. So this is what we're going to talk about now is in reference to the attempt. So this particular story comes not from the main biographies, but from the Vaishnava Digdarshani Sahasravatsara. And it's also mentioned in Agra Dvipa, where Govinda Ghosh had his temple. The temple keeps like a history of Govinda Ghosh. So it's also mentioned there. So that Govinda Ghosh was traveling with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on his attempt to go to Vrindavan. And one of his services was after meals he would bring haritaki fruits. That the haritaki fruits are like a digestive to eat at the end of the meal. And that one day Lord Chaitanya asked for this fruit and Govinda Ghosh went and got some. And the next day when Lord Chaitanya asked for it, Govinda Ghosh supplied it immediately. And Lord Chaitanya said, well, yesterday you had to go get one, and today you just gave me one immediately. How is that? And he said, well, I kept some. I got extra yesterday to keep some. And then Lord Chaitanya said, then you should stay here, and you should establish a deity here of Gopinath, and you should get married here. So people interpret this particular pastime that it means that because he was saving something, therefore Lord Chaitanya said that he should be a householder. Which is kind of interesting, because I know Harisari Prabhu tells the story of when he was serving Srila Prabhupada, he needed a new dhoti, and he had some money saved, and he went and bought a dhoti. And when Prabhupada saw him in a new dhoti, he said, where'd you get this from? And he said, oh, I used my savings. And Prabhupada said, no, you should keep those savings for emergency. And Harisari was a brahmachari at the time. He said, you should keep those savings for emergency, and Prabhupada reimbursed Harisari out of his own funds. So I don't think that this story should be interpreted in that way. I think that kind of interpretation is a little extrapolation. All right. So then Govinda Ghosh settled permanently in Agartala, and there he actually established a deity of Gopinath. Now, it is also stated in the Vaishnava Digdarshani and in the Agradvipa Temple Chronicles that Govinda Ghosh's son died at a very young age. He had one son who died young, and his wife also died very early. So then he was left without any descendants, and therefore he was thinking, who's going to do my Shraddha ceremony? You know, in Indian society, when someone dies, their descendants do a Shraddha ceremony for them, so that if they've gone to a higher planet, they can stay there. So the higher planets are usually just like a vacation place. You don't usually accumulate more karma there. You're just spending your good karma. Like people go to Hawaii or something for a vacation, and they're not working there. They're not making any money. They're just spending their money. And once they've spent the money that they can spend on a vacation, they have to come home to make some more money. But suppose you had people putting money in your bank account while you were in Hawaii. Right, then you could just stay there. So the idea is that your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, they're performing these ceremonies to allow you to stay in the higher planets. And this kind of ritual is done in many cultures of the world, that people have some ceremony after people die. So who's going to do my Shraddha ceremony? Right, so the deity said, I will do your Shraddha ceremony. I'll act as your son. So for this, we're going to refer to Adi Leela 11, 14, 15. When Nityananda Prabhu was ordered to go to Bengal to preach, these two devotees, Sri Ramdas and Gadadhar Das, were ordered to go with him. Thus they were sometimes counted among the devotees of Lord Chaitanya and sometimes among the devotees of Lord Nityananda. Similarly, Madhava Ghosh and Vasudev Ghosh belonged to both groups of devotees simultaneously. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya, quote, there is a place named Dhanihata near the Agra Dweep railway station and Patuli in the district of Burdwan, where the deity of Sri Gopinathji is still situated. This deity accepted Govinda Ghosh as his father. Even until today, the deity performs the Shraddha ceremony on the anniversary of the death of Govinda Ghosh. So that's going on today. Imagine if you went there today, you'd see the Shraddha ceremony of Govinda Ghosh performed by Gopinath. Imagine that. I mean, I don't know how he does that. I'm not sure exactly how that works. The temple of this deity is managed by the Rajvamsa family of Krishnanagara, whose members are descendants of the Raj Krishna Chandra. Every year in the month of Vaishakha, when there is a Bhadra Dola ceremony, this Gopinath deity is taken to Krishnanagara. The ceremony is performed with 11 other deities, and then Sri Gopinathji is brought back to the temple in Agradweep. So, as described in Madhya 11:88, when Gopinath Acharya is describing all the devotees to King Prataparudra. He's like standing on a roof. Look at that devotee, this devotee. He says, here also are Govinda Ghosh, Madhava Ghosh, and Vasudev Ghosh. They are three brothers, and their Sankirtan congregational chanting pleases the Lord very much. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Govinda Ghosh belonged to the Kayasta dynasty of the Uttara Radhiya section, and he was known as Ghosh Thakur. Even to the present day, there is a place called Agradweep near Katva, where a fair takes place and is named after Ghosh Thakur. So in addition to the Shraddha ceremony being performed by the deity, there's also a big fair where 12 deities are brought from various temples together, and that is the Ghosh Thakur festival going on. As far as Vasudev Ghosh is concerned, he composed many nice songs about Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and these are all authorized Vaishnav songs like the songs of Narottama Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, Govinda Das Thakur, and other great Vaishnavas. So most of the songs that we have from the Ghosh brothers are from Vasudev Ghosh. And some of the songs we sing, I know some of the songs my daughter's troupe does dances to are songs of the brother Vasudev Ghosh. So some of them are really, there's one song he writes about Lord Chaitanya that I really like. So there aren't very many songs actually written by Govinda Ghosh. One that I could find, it's a very, very simple song. I have no idea how to sing this. But it's Deha Pada Gora Thakur, Deha Pada Gora Thakur, Gora Bina Gati Nai, Gora Bina Gati Nai. Ami Ki Bolibo, Gora Guna Gata, Gora Bolite Nayane Jare Dara, Gora Amiya Namiya, Gora Amiya Namiya, Gora Bina Gati Nai, Gora Bina Gati Nai. Oh Lord Gora, please give me your lotus feet. Oh Lord Gora, please give me your lotus feet. There is no other goal or destination besides Gora. There is no other goal or destination besides Gora. What can I say about the descriptions of the qualities of Lord Gora? Just by saying the name Gora, tears flow from my eyes in a constant stream. Gora is the personification of nectar. Gora is the personification of nectar. There is no other goal besides Gora. There is no other goal besides Gora. So what a wonderful devotee, huh? We think about the fact that devotees have, each devotee has so many varieties of services that they do. At the same time, there's often a main service that we associate with that person. Isn't it like that? Right? Like you think even the devotees in this community, there are some of them we really think, oh, well, that person's a pujari, or that person manages the festivals, or that, right? But of course, they have so many other things that they do. They don't just do that. But they're particularly known for that. So this happens in Krishna's pastimes and in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as well. And therefore, when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur delineates in Jaiva Dharma the 11 parts of transcendental identity, he talks about regular service and occasional service. Right? So sometimes we have lists with the associates of Krishna. Their service is to bring water to Radha and Krishna. But again, they're not only bringing water to Radha Krishna. They may be doing many other things. They may be swinging the swing. They may be decorating the kunjas. They may be cooking something, or so forth and so on. So it's not that Govinda Ghosh was just singing 24 hours a day. You know, he did so many other services, especially once he established on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the Gopinath deity, and he was married and so many things. So I'm sure he had so many services, but he was particularly known for his kirtan. And if we think about the kirtan that the Ghosh brothers did, or Govinda Ghosh must have done in Jagannath Puri once his brothers went back to Bengal, right? Because he had been with his brothers in Navadvip and singing in the kirtans there, and then they all came with Lord Chaitanya, and then his brothers returned, and he stayed with Lord Chaitanya. So especially the kirtans that he was leading, which immediately Mahaprabhu would start to dance. So these kirtans were known, of course, for their expertise on an external level. The devotees are supposed to become expert in their service. I always give the example of Arjuna, who practiced shooting an arrow at night. right? He wanted to be so expert in his service that even he wanted to know how to shoot an arrow in the dark. So it's not that we don't train to become expert in our service. Many, many years ago, we had a devotee here who would cook, and what she cooked was awful. And I don't know how to put it any other way. And we'd say, oh, my dear devotee, there's cookbooks. There's recipes. You know, you can learn from someone. You can follow a recipe. No, I just want to be a spontaneous devotee. Yes. So I was in another temple many years ago with a cook like that, and she made avocado halva. It was just awful. And then she made a sabji, and unfortunately it was a school there. My son was in the school there, and so the kids had to eat this stuff. And then she made a sabji with boiled plantain, boiled eggplant, and boiled red cabbage mixed together. So one should also become expert. It's not just that because you chant Hare Krishna, you can do anything. Right? It's not just, well, if I'm chanting 16 rounds and following the principles and reading the books, then Krishna is just going to give me expertise in anything. So one should also have some expertise. One of the 26 qualities of a devotee is to be expert. So we can imagine that Govinda Ghosh was very, very expert in singing. And to be expert in singing, you need to know all of the ragas and all of the talas, right? My daughter should be giving this class about what is expertise in singing. But in addition to that, you don't just want to be an expert singer, because the Lord is not very impressed just with technical expertise. That's not what he's interested in. When he says, Patram pushpam palam tayam yome bhaktya prayachati, tadaham yaktu bharitam ashrami prayadat. When I was just hearing Prabhupada talk about this morning, he was saying that what Krishna's interested in is love. That's what he's interested in. I mean, Krishna's already the most expert in everything, and he has servants who are far more expert than any of us are going to be in anything. To do all of his bidding immediately, he has all of his energies. That's not what he needs. It's not what he's hankering for. He's hankering for our love. And he's hankering for our love because he knows that that is what is going to make us happy. He's already full of happiness. So Govinda Ghosh's kirtans were full of love. Now, it's not specifically mentioned in regard to the Ghosh brothers. This is mentioned in regard to people like Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, that they would be able to sense the various moods of Lord Chaitanya, and they would sing songs that were resonating with those moods, that were helping the Lord in his inner moods. Right? The understanding that there's these different waves of the emotions, transcendental emotions called Vyavichari or Sanchari Bhavs, that flow through the devotees and the Lord, that nourishes their overall rasa. And there's different moods at different times. Maharaj on Gaur Purnima was talking about the Shikshastika, and he gave that class on the Shikshastika for the afternoon class. And he was talking about this fact that sometimes Lord Chaitanya is saying, I don't have any love for Krishna, I'm not even a devotee. Right? Which is one of the Vyavichari Bhavs called disparagement. And at other times he's saying to the devotees, in my ecstasy, in my vision, I was picking flowers for the divine couple. Why did you disturb me? Like we saw in the children's play, right? All these pastimes that Lord Chaitanya is seeing in his ecstasy. And then they say, wake up, why did you wake me up? I was engaged in the service of Radha Krishna. So he had these different moods. Like, I'll never do any service. I'm useless. I'm fallen. And, I was doing this wonderful service. And according to these different moods, Krishna's coming, Krishna's leaving, he's in meeting, he's in separation. All these, that the associates of Lord Chaitanya would sing songs that would enhance those moods. Now, it's not only the songs themselves, it's the particular raga and the melodies that are sung. Right? According to the whole science of music, you sing different ragas at different parts of the day and for different moods. And we all experience this even with ordinary music, right? If someone's very sad, they want to listen to blues music, correct? You don't want to listen to exuberant music when you're sad. I turn that off. So one could easily extrapolate that in order for Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to want to immediately start dancing whenever Govinda Ghosh was singing, he must have been in touch with the Lord's mood. He must have been in touch with the Lord's desire. So we as sadhakas, we may not be able to sense what particular Vyavichari Bhav Radha Golokananda are experiencing at this moment. That may not be within our capacity. But we certainly understand the general mood and mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the general mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada. You know, one point that I generally make to devotees is you've got to do something for the mission. I remember Maharaj one time saying, we're not just trying to grab our Krishna Prema and go, but to actually do something for the mission. One devotee who was asking, he said, well, I've now situated myself financially, I could retire from working, and I could just move with my family, so he still has young children, I could move with my family to India and just chant and study all the time. And I said, you know, you can do that when you're 90. But right now, you should be doing something for the mission. Don't just think about your own sadhana. I said, that's fine for a retreat. You know, you go for a weekend or a week or even a month. You know, go for Kartik or go for a month and just focus on your own kirtan and your own pilgrimage and your own sadhana. But generally be engaged in something in the mission as well. I said, you know, that's actually going to help your sadhana. So that's what he did. He actually ended up picking a place to move in India that needed a lot of work in preaching, where there wasn't a lot going on, and where he could really develop the community and develop the preaching. And he said, just feel so enlivened, and my sadhana has improved so much more than if I went to a very developed community where all I'd be doing is going to classes and kirtan. So that we know that mood, that's my point. We know that that's Srila Prabhupada mood. Srila Prabhupada mood is a Gosti Nandi mood, not a Bhajana Nandi mood. And therefore we should all be preachers. We don't have in our ISKCON movement the kind of, you know, contemplative monk part. We don't really have that. We don't have, you know, brahmachari ashrams where the monks just chant all day and read all day and never see the world, and somebody gives them food through a bucket that they put up through the bottom of their monastery, like you'll see in some European monasteries. So we should resonate our work with the mood of Srila Prabhupada, with the mood of our acharyas, with the mood of Lord Chaitanya. And if we do that, eventually we will pick up the mood of the Lord, just like singers such as Govinda Ghosh could do. You know, when you have dancing happening with live musicians, even at performance, so again, my daughter should be giving this class, but you know, when you have the classical dancers and you have the musicians, so they're playing off each other. You've seen this? Right, when it's live? So they'll play the drums in a certain way, and then the dancer dances a certain way, and then they sing a certain way, and they're playing off each other. And we see this happens even in our kirtans, correct? Right? The singers, the instrument players, the dancers, they're all reciprocating with each other's moods. And this was what was happening in the kirtans with Govinda Ghosh. So Govinda Ghosh is singing these kirtans in Srivasangam when the Lord is dancing, and singing in Rathayatra with Vikeshwar Pandit dancing. And Lord Chaitanya said to Vikeshwar Pandit, he said, you are one of my wings. If I had two wings like you, I could fly in the sky. So we should also be picking up on the mood of Srila Prabhupada. What is Srila Prabhupada's mood? What is Srila Prabhupada's mission? So I was asked the other day, why do you stay in ISKCON? And my main answer for that is this is where I feel I can be most connected with Srila Prabhupada. That I feel that if I want to connect with Srila Prabhupada's mood and mission, you know, there are other branches of the Chaitanya tree that are connected with Lord Chaitanya. But Srila Prabhupada has a very particular personal mood and mission that is very much active in his society. Now, I also notice how that devotees in Chaitanya Leela may also be in Krishna Leela. Like we have that they're gopis in Krishna Leela. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati says that some devotees have their eternal form just in Krishna Leela. some just in Gaur Lila and some in both. So with the Ghost Brothers, they're in both. And then you see that Lord Chaitanya engages his devotees in different services at different times just appropriate to them. So, he sends 2 of the brothers back to Bengal with Lord Nityananda, and those 2 brothers are counted as devotees of both Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and 1 brother he keeps with him. And then that 1 brother, after keeping him with him for some time, then he gives him an assignment. No, I want you to stay in Agradweep. I want you to develop it. I want you to preach there. And indeed, that's what he did. He and his followers ended up preaching Lord Chaitanya's movement and establishing Lord Chaitanya's movement there. He said, now I want you to leave and go there. And this is also a very important point, that service to the Lord is more important than being in his physical presence, which is why we always say that the devotees of the Lord, they'll even reject the 4 kinds of liberation where they're on the same planet as the Lord or in the Lord's personal association if there's some service that the Lord wants them to do. Prabhupada brings up this point with Lord Ramachandra when he sends out his brothers. And Prabhupada said he didn't want his brothers just to have sense gratification in his personal association, but to go and do his mission. Right? So sometimes we may feel, well, I always want to be with my spiritual master personally. But Prabhupada sometimes would send devotees out to do service. Prabhupada had 1 secretary that he sent out to preach in the communist countries. And this devotee was thinking, oh, Prabhupada's rejected me. He sent me away. And Prabhupada said, I haven't rejected you. He said, I wanted you to do something for the mission more than just being my secretary. And then it's so interesting how the deity becomes his son. And Srila Prabhupada will often say that Krishna is a better family member than any family member we can have in this world. We get so attached to our particular family, although we've had so many families in so many lifetimes that we don't even remember. We don't remember our parents and our children and our brothers and sisters from other lifetimes. And these family members are always coming and going. Right? Sometimes we may have a close relationship with them, and sometimes there may be some difficulty in the family, or, people, I love you, I love you, I love you, and then a year later they're getting divorced and they're in divorce court saying, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Right? So Prabhupada would say to people, make Krishna your husband, make Krishna your son. Make Krishna your everything. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Janaka Janani Daita Tanai, Prabhu Guru Patituhu Sarvamoy. You are my everything. So here we see that even though Govinda Ghosh, he had a wife, he had a son, and they died. And Krishna says, you're taking care of me. I will become your son. I will become everything. So we should really give our heart to Krishna in this way. Whatever we are expert at, we may not be expert singers, but we should all develop. Prabhupada said that all the devotees should know something of everything and everything of something. Something of everything and everything of something. So we should all develop some general service for the mission and some areas where we become expert and where we can really contribute, and where the Lord also in knowing of our service, hearing of our service, seeing of our service, will also immediately want to dance. So we have like 2 minutes if anyone has any questions or comments about Govinda Ghosh. I had lots of fun researching this, by the way. Oops, sorry. There's a different, the clocks are not all in the same time, I guess. Govinda Ghosh ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Angani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami.
Bhajami. Namaho Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Putale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Sangmeniti Momane. Namaste, yeah. Saraswati Devi, Korani Bacha, Neke Nirse Shah, Shunyavare, Machachane, Zatarane. Jai Sri Krishna, Jai Dada, Brahmanachanana, Shidweta, Gurada Siva Sati, Noraktavana, Krishna. Shri Krishna Nana Brahmanachananda Dvaita Gadada Siva Sati Gauraturana. Naya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Brahmanacharya Dwaita, Garada Siva Sadi, Nora to Brenda. Naya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Ramanujana Naga Dvaita Garada Siva Sati Narata Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radharamana Hare, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Goloka Nana, Radha Goloka Nana, Radha. Radha Goloka Nana, Radha Goloka Nana, Radha. Nayad, hey, Radhe, Nayarane, Nayarad, hey. Radhe, 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 Jai Om Vishnupad.
Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrikavi Taranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pradipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadishakamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavadad Bhaktir Ahoita Kitwai Hainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishamevavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sajashim Vachintaya Nayanam Gadashu Daraya Varanam Gadgarudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vabukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Harita Shunayata Jatsarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamritamanastumam Adarshanam Marmahatakarotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my congregational chanting of your holy name can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by these holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering in a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not